right. Hello guys, it's Bart Johnson here and we are finally back. It is Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and for the first time in I think just over a month, we are having another live show. So everything over the past month and a half has been absolutely crazy, work stuff, life stuff, etc. And I really haven't been very active on YouTube, but I don't want you to worry. I'm not going anywhere. I do have a lot of plans, and I really wanted to get back here live and hang out with you guys. And today, this actually, I got a delivery literally maybe 2 hours ago of some accessories for what we're going to look at today. And when I had everything in place, I was like, you know what, we got to do this. We got to take a look at it. So before we dive into this light and everything we got going on, I want to welcome you guys back if you're longtime subscribers and have been here in the live show before. And if you're just finding this for the first time, of course, welcome. I hope you enjoy hanging out today and checking this out. And maybe at the end, you'll consider go ahead, subscribe, clicking that notification bell, giving the video a like, and maybe seeing what else I've got on this channel, because there's a lot of cool stuff on here. And today, we're going to add to that library of cool stuff. So before we start taking a look at this new light that I've got sitting here, I do want to let you guys know that, of course, today is live, which means you guys get to not just watch me talk for a long time, but you guys get to talk to me and hang out, because I can pull our chat up here on the screen, as you can see right over here, and we already have some lovely people in here. We've got my buddy Jeremy, who I know is very familiar with the lights that I have here. He works with Ledgo, which is the sister / parent company of Nanlite. So good to have you in here, Jeremy. And what do we got here? We got Vectum Production 2. Hello to you as well. So as you guys can see, throughout this show, I don't want it to be just me. I want you guys to be able to engage with me. So I've got the chat pulled up. We'll have your name immortalized forever on this video here on the side of the screen. And if you do have any questions or comments or anything and want to get my attention, I will be keeping my eye on the chat. But as you can see down here at the bottom, I do have a little note. If I start getting in the weeds with the chat, just make sure and use that @ symbol and do my username, Bart Johnson Productions, and it'll help to kind of get my attention a little bit easier on the displays, because I got a lot of stuff going on in here today, as I'm sure you can see. Who else? We got Alex Miner. Good to see you, buddy. A good friend from Discord, which actually is a perfect segue. I also have my own Discord server. There's a link down in the description below if you want to check that out and chat with me, even when we're not live. So yeah, enough of that stuff. You guys came here to check out our topic for today, which is a light. It's fairly new, but it's definitely new to me, and I have a feeling I'm going to really, really like this light, and it is the Nanlite Forza 60, as you can see right here. So Nanlite I first saw at NAB this year. I was unfamiliar with their company, both them and Ledgo, and I was looking around at their booth and I saw their Forza series of lights and their single source, COB, chip on board, LED lights, and I was really impressed with them. I've always been an aperture guy. I have, 120D, 300D, 300D Mark II, love those, but I'm always looking for some alternatives. And so the first light of theirs that I picked up was this one right here. So this is the Nanlite Forza 300, which is kind of a direct competitor to the Aperture 300D. And I actually did a really in-depth, spec for spec comparison between the Forza 300 and the Aperture 300D Mark II. And there's a link to that video down in the description. If you're interested in either of those lights, I would definitely check that out. I went through every little measurement and detail you could possibly think of comparing those. But the fact of the matter is that the 300 is right in the middle of a current 3-light family for the Forza lights. And I know the chat is actually, well, I probably should have pulled the chat down. There you go. You can't even see the light I'm talking about. See, can you tell it's been a little while since I've done a live show? I got too much going on. But anyway, this is the Forza 300. Sorry, the chat was completely covering it for the time being there. But yeah, Forza 300, you can see very similar style. Bowens mount, single source chip on there, all that, yada, yada, yada. Like I said, there's a video about it, but we're not here to talk about this one. We're here to talk about the baby brother. So, like I said, the 300 is the middle of the series. There's an even beefier one, the Forza 500, which I have yet to check out, but am very interested in. And then we have this guy, the Forza 60, which is at the bottom of the line, but is actually extremely powerful for how small it is. Let me take a quick peek at our chat, see what we got here. Oh, we got Trevor in here. It says, shows you how dominating Aperture is. Everyone that brings out a light now compares their lights with Aperture. Yeah, that's very true. Aperture, you know, of course they've done amazing things. They've grown from, you know, a small kind of, I don't want to say sketchy, but, you know, you didn't know much about them. They were a Chinese company and they're making stuff, but they have upped their game, they've upped their quality, and really they are sort of the benchmark that I do compare a lot of lighting products to, because they're what I primarily use, and I know a lot of other people compare them to that as well. But as I said in my Forza versus Aperture video, I'm not a fanboy. You know, if there's other brands and other alternatives that are going to work better for me or are going to work better possibly for you guys, I'm all for exploring other companies, and the Nanlite Forza series has really, really caught my eye. So I was not sent this light. I bought this light as well as the accessories for it that just came today, because I think it's going to be a wonderful addition to my kit, and we'll find out if you guys feel the same way. And of course, links to everything that I'm going to be sharing today, the accessories and the light, all down in the description down below. So if you want to check any of that out at any time. But let's see what we've got here. We're going to dive into my different camera angles. It has been a while since I dusted off everything in here and was going live. So I noticed that my overhead cam is still being a little bit glitchy here and there. And so if it does glitch out, I apologize, but we're gonna just plow through it and go there. I think it's a bad HDMI cable because I have a really long run over to my setup. But anyway, so this is the box. You get the head itself. So here is the Forza 60. As you can see, that single chip right there. Super tiny, man. Like, look at this. I'll hold it up in a second next to the 300 head, which is actually, you know, not too large either. But this thing is teeny tiny. So we've got the light itself there. We have a little 55-degree reflector dish, and it is a Bowens style, but this is like a mini Bowens. So this is not the full-size Bowens S-mount that you find on most things now. So they do have some kind of specialized little mount here. Oh, see, told you it could glitch out. Oh, and now we're like super zoomed in. Gotta love it, gotta love it. Oh, now it's angry. Now it's angry. All right, you know what? We're gonna ditch the overhead angle, and we're gonna go to angle number 2. So here you go, guys. Super sorry about that. So we've got the light right there. Guess the overhead is out for this show. Really need to replace that HDMI cable. We have an AC power adapter here. It has this odd little mount here, but I'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, AC power brick to power the light, and AC power cord. And that's actually about it. So we can get this case out of here, and let's try and free up some space here for us to take a look at this light. Let me get it set up so you can see it right there. That's a shame about the overhead, so I'll just show you guys on here. Vectin Production 2 is saying, nice live remote setup, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, I do have a video on how I'm running this. It's kind of through an HDMI switcher. A little low tech, but it works for what I've got going on down here. Let's see here. Trevor's asking, did I go to IBC? No, I did not. I've never been to IBC. I always go to NAB, but I would really like to go to IBC at some point. And Trevor says, your A-cam looks different today, a little bit noisy. So you're talking about this angle right here? It's still the Ursa Mini. Maybe I did have to reset everything, so maybe I have the ISO set a little bit higher than it normally is. Hopefully that's not too bad, but like I said, I slapped this together real quick, so hopefully it works out. But quick drink of water. And yeah, guys, if there are any technical issues along the way that I'm not noticing, do bring them to my attention in the chat. I mean, obviously, I'm going to have to bail on our overhead camera, but thus is live. Here, switch. See, it seems to be fine for this time being. If it starts glitching out again, we'll leave it. But so you've got this tiny little light here. You've got the ability to power it via wall power, and then you have your reflector dish, which is, like I said, very similar to the Bowens, just smaller, clicks right in, and there you go. You've got it all set up. You have this yoke here so that you can attach it to any standard, 5/8 pin, light stand, whatever. And then on the back, we have controls and a little interface screen. Sorry for the glare there. But you've got dimming, and then you've got a selection tool because it has various effects built in. And you have an on-off switch, and your DC input, as you can see here, actually it might be kind of small for you, but it has a 15-volt input. So this thing takes a good bit of power. You're not going to be running it off of any USB battery packs or anything like that, but you can run it off of V-mounts and, of course, the wall power. So 15, 14.8, any of that's going to work. That standard sort of monoblock design where there's not much actually to the guts in here. You can see some heat sinks in there, and then it's got a fan, and I have run it. It is actually a pretty quiet fan. So there we go. Let's go back to one. So what I want to show you guys, I'm going to pull the chat off of the screen because I know that's covering our 300, but here's the 300, and this actually, is a relatively small block for the head. The Aperture 300D and so forth is much longer. So this is just a almost perfectly cubed little box here. But if we take a look at the size of the 60 compared to it, I mean, look at that. So very small, does have some heft and some weight to it, does not feel cheap or anything like that. A lot of metal construction. There is some plastic and what I believe is some faux carbon fiber look on the side. But all in all, pretty happy with it. Single tightener on the side for the yoke, so it doesn't have that dual or anything, but it does seem pretty strong. And of course, the modifiers you're going to be putting on the front of this aren't going to be like giant, like 4-foot wide soft boxes that are going to pull it down. These are obviously going to be smaller modifiers and accessories. So why would I want a light like this when I have this and I have my Aperture series lights? Well, I shoot a lot of interviews, and we use large lights like this as our key, often as our fill, but a lot of times I also want to incorporate a hair light, a little bit of a kick. So I have some right here actually, coming from a small light that I have up there. And other times I also want to use it use smaller lights to put accents in the background. So there may be objects in the background that I want to give a little kick, or I want to bring up a little bit. Just really control all of the lighting elements in my scene. And that's when I use a variety of smaller lights. And for the longest time, I've actually been using these guys right here. So this is the Aperture LS Mini 20. So I have several of these. This is the D, so the daylight version, but they are small. They're battery operated, or you can plug them into the wall, of course, anything like that. These are getting kind of old now. They haven't been updated in a while. They definitely do have a few issues, fan noise being one of them. But if you look, they are a little single source chip in there. And these are what I had been using as background lights and all of that, but I was looking for something a little bit more, because as these are 20s, these are only 20-watt lights, so they get bright enough to throw some kick on some things, but definitely in a pinch, I don't think these would be enough to act as a key light if you wanted to have like a small kit or something like that. Now, of course, you could if you're in a small space in a dark room, but for what I'm usually doing, I need something a little bit more. Now, this Forza 60, if you compare these two, let me find the best way to hold that so you can actually see. The Forza 60, while it's beefier and heavier for sure, is smaller. It has a larger source on the front, and it has more power. So this is 60 watts, this is 20. So this is kind of what I'm thinking I may move to a set of to replace my Aperture Mini 20s, because with the increased output power of this light, that means that with 3 of these, I actually could use one of these as a key light potentially. And I'm going to experiment more with that in the future. You know, obviously sometimes I need the horsepower of something larger, but a few of these could make an impressive kit. So let me see what we've got going on in the chat if anybody has any questions. Mr. Sean Mark Nipper is in here. Today's video is illuminating. See what I did there? Yes, I see what you did. Glad to have you there in the comments and in the chat. Let me pull the chat back up here for us. Trevor's saying, are you messing with me? That's not the whole light, right? Yeah, this is the whole light. There is no separate control box. Like there is with larger lights, both the Aperture and the Aperture 300 and the Forza 300 have separate control boxes. This is it. Everything is in this. The controls and everything. This is it. This is the light. So there's nothing else to it. It's tiny, and some other people saying hello to Mr. Sean Mark Nipper. Good to have you in there. But yeah, it's tiny. And that's it. Not a lot else to it. The only other stuff that is with it is this modifier right there and an AC power brick to power it. So that's it, you know. And I haven't mentioned this yet. There's links down below if you want to purchase it, but this light comes in at $289, at least at the time of this show. So, you know, not super cheap. But for what you're getting, and for a 60-watt light like this, that is a super affordable price. You know, you could buy 3 of them and outfit, or 3 of them and put together a whole kit for just below the price of one of the 300s, and definitely cheaper than an Aperture 300D Mark II. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so nothing more in the chat. I'm going to free up a little bit of screen real estate. I promise I won't forget about you guys, but I do want to show off this light. So, like I said, this is everything that comes in the kit, and I do want to say that switch. There we go. I do want to say that I kind of wish it came with a little bit more, and here's particularly what I wish it came with. So it takes that, roughly 15 volt input, which means that it can take V-mount. However, there is no connector included to connect this to a V-mount battery. So you would just need, a D-tap to a barrel connector. I don't know if you guys can see, but this is just a simple barrel connector. No locking or anything, so you want to make sure that doesn't get yanked out while you're shooting, and your light will die. But you need to get a separate cable from somewhere else to do that. Now, that's not a huge deal. You can find those pretty cheap, but I do think it would have been nice if that was tossed into the kit. You know, powering options, I don't really feel is something that you should have to pick up as an accessory. I can understand having to buy modifiers separately, Fernells and softboxes and that kind of stuff. I can understand that, but I really think that power options should be included in there. And yes, you can run it right out of the box, on AC power. But yeah, so, and another accessory apparently that they make, I did mention that this AC power brick is in a little bracket here, and it has a V-mount little clip on here. Apparently they do make, or are going to make, I haven't been able to find it yet, a separate accessory that clamps onto your light stand that has 2 little V-mount brackets, or it has a V-mount bracket, so that you could just click lock this onto your light stand so it's not just hanging out of the way, or so it's not just hanging on the floor. I mean, it does already have a little loop here so you can hang it, so that's nice. But if they're gonna make a clamp, I feel like it should be included in this. And then that clamp as well would be useful to clip a battery to your light stand to run D-tap power into the light head itself, because obviously there's nowhere to mount a battery directly to the light head. So not huge things, just something that I think would be nice. Powering options I really think should be included with the kit. Blackmagic Tim is in here. Good to see you, buddy. Asking about DMX or remote. So there is no remote included. Similar to the way the 300, the Forza 300 was. I believe it has, the 300 at least, I believe has remote capabilities. But you have to, like, the remote is a separate thing that you'd have to get. I don't know if this one, I'm not sure I went like British there. I don't know. I don't know and don't believe that this guy has remote capabilities in the 60. I could be wrong. Jeremy, if you are still here in the chat, please let us know, because I actually don't know the answer to that offhand. DMX is a no. So you're gonna be controlling this by reaching up and working the dials, and possibly a remote. We'll wait and we'll find out about that. Okay, where do I want to go next? Where do I want to go next? Okay, we were talking about powering. So like I said, comes with AC. That's fine, that's good, unless you're out in a remote location and you want to be able to power it. So you can get a V-mount battery, find a way to clip it to the light stand or whatever, or when they come out with their bracket, you can get that. And buy a cable to plug it in, no problem, you'll be able to run the light. But they did have another accessory, or do have another accessory, and that's one of the things that actually arrived just before the show today that I want to share with you guys, and that is this guy. So let me see if I can show it to you on that overhead without it glitching out. So this guy right here, let's get AC power out of here. This guy right here, which looks like it should be like for an iron or something like that. But what this is it is an NPF battery mount. So it takes two Sony NPF batteries right here. It has that barrel connector that will plug into the light. And then it has a handle on the back, so you can use this like a handheld spotlight. It has a spigot to mount, you know, a little 5/8 to mount the light on top of this. And then it has a 5/8 receiver right here, so you can put it onto a light stand or anything else. And then also on the bottom here, which is pretty cool, it has these little feet that come out so that you can stand it up. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let's go to camera 2. So you can stand this thing up, so this can actually be almost like a mini light stand, because you can now mount the light on top of this. Let's go ahead and do that. Drop the light on top, lock it in, and there you go. So it's got its own stand. You know, I would have batteries on here. Let's go ahead and actually add some batteries to it. Nice click lock action, I like that. I just got this, guys, so this is my first time using this thing here. And then, so yeah, real impromptu live. I haven't even tested this stuff, but let's put that in there. Okay, so it's plugged into the light. So here we go, I have it, you know, walk around and blind people with it and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool little solution, and there's a link to this down below as well. Trevor's asking, do they have any bicolor versions of it? No, not yet. This is a daylight balanced light, as are all of the Forza series, and they are a true 5600, plus or minus maybe like 100 degrees or within. But yeah, they are all daylight. Who knows what they'll be working on in the future. But let's power this guy on. Let me send it over here. Powering up off of NPF. I'm at 0%. Oh, there we go. So yeah, running handheld. We are at 33% there with this guy, the reflector dish on there, running off of NPF batteries. Let's see here. I don't want to blind myself. It does have little power indicator, like battery gauges on this. Let me dim it down to 0. So it does have little power indicators on this side, but they're actually not lighting up right now. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Interesting. Maybe it's my off-brand batteries. It's not showing anything. I don't know. So we're at 1%. You know what? I'm looking on here, Tim. It does have an indicator on the back. I don't know if you can really see it, but it does say channel 16. So that's going to make me think that, yes, this can be remote controlled. But remote is not included, and I'll have to look into finding that accessory to see if I can get the remote to run it. But yeah, it does say channel 16. So I do believe that you can actually remote control this, which is another advantage of this over the Mini 20 from Aperture, because I did always wish that these were remote controllable. So just a note about all of these accessories being a little tricky to find and whatnot. I mean, I have a link to this battery grip down below and some other stuff. Nanlite is really just rolling some of this stuff out to go with these lights. So they're getting a lot of increased interest in these lights, and they're trying to get all this stuff out there as quickly as possible, which is probably also why maybe the core kit doesn't come with all of the accessories you would kind of want. Maybe they're realizing a little bit in hindsight that they wish they had put more in there, and so they're selling these things as additional accessories. So maybe the kits will be updated in the future. I don't know, but just keep that in mind. You know, some of the stuff in the listings doesn't even have photos up of it yet or anything like that. So it's all very, very new, and they are doing their best to keep up with the demand and make sure they get out all the stuff to complete this light series. I do like this little grip thing here that becomes its own stand. There's a link to this down below, and the fact that it can run off those NPF batteries. I don't know how long it will run off these batteries because I just got it. This is the first time turning it on. It is made of plastic, so I'd be careful. It feels like you could probably break this if you slammed it on something or if it got crushed in a case. But this battery grip is pretty freaking cool. And then, of course, you can put it on a light stand because it does have this spigot down in here as well, right in there. So it can just rest on a light stand like this. You don't have to hand hold it, and you don't have to use it just freestanding there. Trevor's saying that handle is actually super clever. One less low boy to carry around. Yeah, so you don't need a mini light stand. And the fact that this can be handheld if you need somebody to Hollywood it, or you can mount it on the light stand, or if you need it low, you just set it down there, and then of course you still have your yoke up here to control wherever you want to go. And this whole thing, I'd say, sits about 1.5 feet high. So it's not super low, but it's good enough to drop it down and be like a background light or whatever else you might need. I just realized I had my stool behind me the whole time. But yeah, it's a pretty cool freaking little accessory. Don't know how long it runs. Let's take this puppy up to 100%. Make sure the NPFs can take it to 100%. Yes, indeed they can. We are at 100%. And man, that sucker is bright. Okay, it's still not getting any readouts on the power. So I'll have to play with that a little bit, guys, and figure out exactly how long it'll run on NPF batteries. But that's pretty cool. So let me show you some of the features of the light itself. I'm just going to send it over here just so you can see enough. I don't really have a close-up shot of this. Maybe I can show you guys on the overhead. I want to try and show you this screen. So here you go. Maybe that'll do it a little bit. But you can see here you've got your dimming. It shows you your percentage. It shows me that channel number, which channel it is on, which leads me to believe remote control is possible. And then FX. So it does have built-in effects, and that's actually what you use this button for. So, so you click this select button, and you can move through the menu. So we have FX, we have the channel, and then we actually have fan. Looks like you can shut the fan off. And I don't know if you can see that, but it is actually reducing the output of the light. I'll have to measure that in the future, but you can force the fan off. But there's fan on. And let's go to the effects, and I'll show you guys some of the effects that it has built in. Okay, so effects are off. I don't want to blind us, but I want to show you guys here what we've got going on. So here we go. So that is off, but effects we have flash 1, flash 2, which is a little bit slower, and then flash 3, which is even slower. So you can't individually adjust the frequency of each of these, but the variations 1, 2, and 3 are sort of preset different speeds. We have storm 1, so like a lightning storm. There you go. Storm 2, which again is a different sort of speed. Looks like it's a little bit slower, so not as intense of a storm. Storm 3, same kind of deal, a little bit longer, it looks like, in between the lightning strikes. We have TV, you know, where it changes a little bit to give that effect of like someone watching television. We have bad bulb, that sort of horror movie flicker, and then we're back to off. So not a ton of effects, but enough to definitely get you through and get you by. I think that is pretty cool. Let's take a peek at our chat here. Trevor's saying the electronics in generic Sony batteries are all over the place, so who knows why the level indicators aren't working. Yeah, I'm not saying that's the fault of their device. It is that I'm using some generic brand NPF batteries on here, so maybe that's why they're not really showing the indicator for the power level, but something to keep an eye on and make note of. Do they have a lumens rating on it? That's a very bright light. So they do, but I figured today we would get our own reading. What do you say? I think we should real quick pull out my meter, and I think we should see exactly how bright this sucker is using this included dish reflector, and then we'll check out something else. So let's get set up for that. Actually, I'm going to set this light up here. I'm going to start killing some of our lights. Make sure we don't skew our results at all. Let's kill that guy. And let's kill our overhead. There we go. This light's kicking over this way, so that's fine. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go about 3 feet away. And let me get my meter out. I'm going to boot my meter up here. Don't you guys love live? So booting up my meter here. This is the UpperTech CV600. Do a quick dark calibration. Got the thing on there. This is what I use to actually measure all of my lights in my lighting tests. Unfortunately, it's not available anymore. But yeah, otherwise I'd put a link to it for you guys. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I don't know if you guys can see here or not, but we're gonna measure the color temperature, the lux, the CRI, and the TLCI. And actually, just to make sure that nobody tries to tell me I didn't do this right, we're gonna kill all of the other lights in here as well, just so there's no light spewing. Come on, come on. See, that's an Aperture Mini 20 up there, and that's why I wish they were remote controllable, because I wouldn't have to reach up there and do that. All right, let's kill this light. Ooh, gets dark down here. All right. Whoops, accidentally took a reading. So we're gonna boot this light up. We're gonna take it all the way up. There we go. There's live test. Oh my goodness. All right, so I'm about 3 feet away. You can see all the dust flying around down here because I'm in a basement. Let's take our reading here. Okay, don't blind me, don't blind me, don't blind me. Dial it down. So I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but we are looking at a color temperature of 5635 Kelvin, perfect, you know, on the spot. Lux of 14,585.66, CRI of 96.8, and TLCI of 97.0. So that is crazy accurate. Let's see what we can get on our top camera here, if it'll come up at all. No, it won't. It's not liking it. Let's go back to 1. All right, let me turn some of these lights back on real quick. Too many remotes in the dark, too many remotes in the dark. There you go, now you can start to see me. I'm gonna leave the background off for the time being because we are actually going to do another test in just a second. So I want to get this stuff going. But there you go. So we're looking at 3 feet, we're looking at 14,585 lux. That's pretty impressive with the color temperature spot on at 5,635, so 35 degrees off of 5,600 exactly. CRI 96.8, TLCI 97. Impressive light quality, impressive light output, running on 2 NPF batteries. That's pretty sweet. Let's see what we got in the chat. Gear Jones is here. Hey, good to see you, man. How are you? Do they have a lumens rating? So that's what we were just addressing. I measured it in lux at 3 feet, 14,585. That is pretty impressive. Now, like I said, I'm going to do this quick because I want to leave the backgrounds off. So we were just using the reflector here, the 55-degree reflector dish that comes with it. But the beauty of interchangeable Bowen style mounts, or mini Bowens, is that you do have modifiers and accessories, and this accessory I had to pick up, and it just came in today as well. This is part of why I wanted to do this. But they do make a set of barn doors and a Fernell for this as well. So there's a link to this down in the description as well, but this is a little Fernell. It is focusable and adjustable, and it will mount. Let me line it up in a way that I can see. Come on, get in there. Where's the teeth? There you go. Click locked in. Oh, might be a bit heavy for for mounting it like this guy right here. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this on a light stand so I don't have to hold this the whole time. But there you go, guys. They make a Fernell. It's called the FL11 Fernell mount. They also do make a little softbox that clicks right into it. Like I said, you won't be able to use your regular Bowens S-mount modifiers because this is a smaller mount, but it is the Bowens style. So you'll be very familiar. Just pop it in, twist lock, and then it'll pop right off. But I have not tested this FL11 yet, but I want to. So we are going to bring this light stand up. Sorry, trying to do this one-handed. Let's let that guy rest on there for right now. This is where I break the light live by accident. All right, let's loosen this up so it sits down on that spigot properly. There we go. So I don't know if you guys can see that. Ooh, that was interesting. A little crack of plastic. I think that's because since this thing is plastic, you don't want to tighten this down too much or you might bust the threads in that. But let me show you real quick what we got going on here, guys. So this is that mount. And as you can see, there's a spigot right here. And so I just was able to pop it right into the light stand. And now we're good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spot. Let's see, this runs from 10 degrees to 45 degrees. I am at 10 degrees. And we're going to turn this guy up. So as you can see, that is a nice tight spot right there, 10 degrees onto my background. We can rotate and widen that up out to, what did I say, 45 degrees. So this is plastic, but it feels durable enough. I mean, there's not a ton of weight to it, because it's smaller and it is glass at the front. There you go. And the barn doors can clip off, so you can remove those. So I'll just take those off for the time being. Very easy. So you can just run it just as the Fernell. Barn doors obviously will help you cut it if you needed to. But here we go. We are at, that's a little, I guess it twists in the mount a little. Okay, so we're going to be at 10 degrees. We're at full spot right here. I'm going to shut these lights off again, and we're going to take a measurement, and we're going to see what kind of output we're getting. So we were at 14,500 something, and we're going to see what we're getting now. Lights. Too many remotes. Let's kill those lights. Let's kill the overhead. All right, so we are just this guy right now. See? Take it up to 100%. We're gonna do that same 3-foot-ish reading. I'll tell you already, I really prefer doing this test because that 55-degree reflector was hitting me in the face even just standing off to the side here. So I like this being a little bit more focused. We're gonna be about here. Again, I'm just guesstimating our 3-foot range, but let's see what we've got. That's about right. Aim it right at it. Take our measurement. There we go. Holy crud. Okay, guys. Not sure if you can see it or not, but I'll read these off to you. With that Fernell on 3 feet away, full 10-degree spot. Again, we're at a color temperature of 5,645, but we are at a lux level of 35,823 lux. CRI of 97, TLCI 96.5. So we have more than doubled the output from 14,500 something to 35,823 lux at 3 feet. But that is still freaking impressive. And then with the barn doors, you'll be able to cut this and change it. I mean, you could put this pretty far away from a subject and throw some serious light. And again, we're running on 2 NPF batteries at 100% power right now with this. So that is pretty impressive. I'm gonna shut this off, get our regular lights back up. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so bear with me a sec, guys. I'm gonna boot everything back up and get us looking the way we were, and I'll take a peek at our chat and let me know what you guys think of that output. I kind of wish I had my 120D, the original one, because I believe this is actually getting comparable to the output of that, which is insane for something this small. I mean, that's crazy. And it does dim in 1-degree increments here. I don't know if I mentioned that. Or 1% increments. So instead of shutting it off, right now I actually have it just dimmed to 0%, and there's nothing coming out of it. So it goes all the way down to 0. Let's put our background light back up. Okay, I think everything is back up. Let's shut you off. Let's get you back on the table. There we go. So it will balance with this stand here with the Fernell on it, just that. The barn doors seem to make it a little bit heavy. Actually, I wonder, could I swing it around and face it the other direction so it puts it's not as stable that way. Okay, so this stand works mostly with just it and the reflector, the little stand for the grip. So you're gonna wanna put a little something else to kind of hold it in place because it is pretty front heavy even with the Fernell on there. As you can see, it's starting to tip. But anyway, let me take a peek at the chat. That was pretty freaking cool. What am I doing? Oh, I'm adjusting the wrong one. I'm gonna take this Fernell off so I can just leave him be. But there he is. Let's get this light stand out of here. And let's see what we got. Okay. Some more comments that, man, that thing is tiny. Let's see how well it focuses. So as you can see, the Fernell goes to 10 degrees. And, you know, I don't know exactly how to measure whether that's true or not, but that was a pretty tight little focus spot. Again, that background is probably about 10 feet away. And we were getting a pretty nice little focused beam on there with that Fernell. And this guy packs down quite nicely. As you can see, it's got that Bowens style, just smaller. And then the barn doors here. Let's see if our overhead will cooperate, and I can show you how those barn doors clip on real quick. So they just have a release tab right here and a little catch right there. You just take it, slide it into the lip there, clip that, sits in, and that's it. And then you can pack these guys up, and and they did come with a nice little carrying case that you can put in there. Not sure if there's enough room for it in the case that the light itself comes with, but I might try and see if I can finagle the kit and get that thing to sit in there so that I can have all my accessories and everything just in one bag as opposed to a whole bunch of bags. So there's our meter, and you can clearly see our results from using that Fernell. So that's pretty darn impressive. Again, not sure about battery life. With the 2 NPF batteries, I will have to test that, but the battery grip just came in, but the fact that you can run it at full power off of 2 NPF batteries, because of course, what are they, 7.4 volts, multiply that by 2, we're at 14.8, you're getting the same voltage output that you would get from a V-mount battery. So that is pretty cool. I would definitely say that this battery grip thing is a necessary accessory if you're getting this light. Unfortunately, it is an accessory that you have to purchase separately, but I don't believe it was too expensive. I want to say it was like 50 bucks or something like that. I think that's right. But I do have an affiliate link to it down below at Adorama, where you can go and pick that up if you'd like. People chatting in here. A lot of comments. This is a nice little light. This light is a home run. If the TLCI is really good, it's a steal. And this Furworks is in here. That thing is incredibly tiny. Yes, it is. And as we just saw with the TLCI, I believe we got like 96.8 and 97 for the TLCI readings. That's with just the reflector, and then also with the Fernell on there. So really high quality accuracy of light. I don't have anything to test like flickering and all that, but I'm pretty sure that you're not going to run into any issues with that. You know, most of these chips and stuff these days are high quality enough that we're not running into what we used to run into in the, you know, the beginning years of LED tech, where, you know, if you got too high in your shutter speed, you get crazy flickering. Most of them tend to be pretty good and pretty consistent there. But I don't have a way to test that right now in front of you guys live here. But there we go. I mean, tiny, pocketable. It's smaller than a pocket 4K camera, so I guess you could call it pocketable. But no, I mean, the fact of the matter is that, yeah, strip this off of here and get it down to just the actual light head itself. Whoops. Batteries made that a little front heavy. But yeah, I mean, this is it. This is the light. And that's all there is to it. No separate control box, no anything like that. Does have some built-in effects. Appears that as if it should have remote control capabilities. I'll have to look into that and see, you know, if I can find that remote control accessory, if it exists yet, so that I can control not only this but my larger Forza 300 here, because I know this had the same kind of deal. It does have channel selection so that it should be remote controllable. So similar to my aperture system, you should be able to control all of these on different channels and run it. So I've been really impressed with the Forza line of lights so far. This one I really think is going to replace my Mini 20s. The fan noise is less. I know we didn't really directly address that, but the fan was running this whole time, and I don't think you guys really heard it. These can definitely become audible. It's more output. It has the flexibility of putting different modifiers on it. It can also be NPF battery powered. Granted, it takes 2 and not just 1. The Aperture Mini 20 takes just 1. But yeah, really impressive, just a miniaturized version of the big one. So I think Forza, or Nanlite, is really on to something here with the Forza series, and especially the Forza 60 at $289 for the light fixture. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to pay extra at this point to get the battery grip and to get that Fernell. So, you know, you're definitely clearing $300 easy, probably starting to push about $400 to get all the stuff that I've shown you here today. But, you know, It's up to you what you do need and what you don't need to run this light. The fact of the matter is the light itself, ready to go on AC power with just the reflector dish, is $289, at least at the time of this recording. So let me know if you guys got any questions here. Let me see what we got going on. So how's any fan noise? So Furworks was saying that. So you know what? Here, I can... I don't have like a decibel meter or anything, so my super non-scientific way of doing it is holding my mic near it. But let's go ahead and power this up. How do I want to do this? I'll just do this. So I'll put him on here. I'll plug this in. You're right, Furworks. If we're here, we might as well try it, right? So I didn't notice while I was going through if the fan sort of has different levels depending on the power. It just seems that it's on when it's on unless you force it to shut off. So let's turn her on. The fan is on right now. The light is on. I'm going to crank it. Oops. Don't need effects for this. I'm going to crank it up to 100%. So I'm at 100% blasting this wall. And I'm going to put my mic right next to it for you guys. That's the output. And this is where it draws in. So of course, that's not the most scientific or fair test because you're never going to be putting a microphone directly that close to your light. But I can tell you that I can just barely hear it just standing here with it this close to in front of me, and it is outputting out the top as opposed to out the bottom. So if you did have this up somewhere, it's going to be shooting the noise up and away from presumably where you're shooting. And it's really not very much. And to tell you the honest truth right now, my MacBook Pro that's sitting here and running the stream, I can hear its fans running more than I can hear this one directly in front of me. So that guy is making more audible noise than this light right now. And even at 0%, it is on and it's running. But again, you can force that off. It just looks like you get probably about 50% reduced output. That's just a guess, but you can force it off if you want to do that. Let's see what we got here. Trevor's saying, if you have an iPhone, you always have a decibel meter, Mr. Johnson. Really? We have a decibel meter in the iPhone? That's kind of cool. I'm going to have to look into that. I don't have time to explore it right now live on the show and all that. How's any fan noise? So Trevor says, so you now have a legitimate 3-light kit that can fit into one section of your camera bag. That's totally nuts. Yes. So let's talk about that because that's a really good point. So I am using these as like, as supporting lights to my kit. So I have the Aperture big guns, you know, the 300D, 300D Mark II, 120D. I have the, right next to me here, I have the Forza 300. So I have these Powerhouse lights that I usually do use as my key and whatnot. And then I use these as accent lights and hair lights and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, with the kind of output that we were getting from this guy, it can be your key light. They do make a softbox for it. I believe it's about that big, but mounts into it. And yeah, you could have a nice soft key with this and then throw the Fernell on or 2 softboxes. So one with a softbox is your key, maybe another one with a softbox giving you a little bit of fill, and then one with either the dish or the Fernell in the back, throwing a little hair or kicker light. And yeah, you have a 3-light kit built out of just these that, yeah, you really could, depending on how many modifiers you bring with you, fit into a backpack along with a small camera system. It's really impressive the output that they're getting from these lights. Like I said, I don't know battery life runtime. I will have to explore that more into the future, but it's a beast of a little light, and while I'm probably going to be using it, like I said, as a support light to my others, these could very well be your flagship lights of your kit if you wanted a small, portable, yet powerful lighting kit. So let's pull our chat back up here. Furwork says holding it near the mic is more useful than a decibel recording. Okay, good. Yeah. So yeah, my non-scientific method allows you to actually kind of hear what I'm hearing. So I'm glad that was helpful. Let's see here. Talking a little bit about the Godox SL60W. So I haven't used that light, but I know that's a good point. There are a lot of other companies that do make smaller single source lights like this. Godox obviously has a 60 watt in that SL60. I haven't used or worked with any of them. This is the first 60 watt sort of small fixture light that I've picked up. The only other smaller fixture lights I've ever had were these guys right here, the Mini 20s. And I've just been really fascinated with the Forza line of lights. I was pretty blown away by the output and power of the Forza 300, and I really wanted to pick this up, and now I'm definitely salivating to take a look at the 500 and see what kind of power they're getting out of that thing, because that is, as far as I know right now, completely unmatched in LED single source output. Obviously Aperture has announced that there's a 600D coming, so I'm sure I want to get my hands on that and pit that against the Forza 500. 600 versus 500, like, see how they compare. But that'll be down the road. We got to wait for that 600D to come out. But while I tend to go bigger with lights, I always want bigger, more power, all that. Sometimes it makes sense to go smaller, and you're really not compromising that much on power by going smaller with these Forza 60s, which is really impressive to me. All right, let's see here. All right, so people are saying here, Furwork says, compared to this light, everything is big. He's saying that the SL60 is probably around the size of the Forza 300, and maybe even a tad longer. Wow, okay. So he's talking about this light, it being comparable in size. Meanwhile, let's power this guy off, and I'll show it to you once again. Once again, don't knock that over this time. Let's see, I'm learning. But yeah, compare the size of these two. That's just crazy. There you go. But yeah, obviously nowhere near the power output of that one, but I am really impressed with the power output you can get out of this. I think that Fernell, with the barn doors, they come together, is an absolute must pickup. And I'm actually really impressed with how useful I think this battery grip is going to be as well. I wish it wasn't quite as plasticky as it is, and I don't know what's going on with the power indicators. It might just be my batteries, but then again, who knows what kind of batteries you'll be using, so I don't know. But yeah, the plasticky makes me a little bit nervous. This spigot in the middle is metal, so that's fine. It's just the handle and the housing and all the stuff around it is plastic. But still a worthwhile and I think essential accessory there. And of course, like I said, you can V-mount power it as well. You just got to get your own cable and find your own way to mount that battery to your light stand, although they do say they will have a V-mount clamp for light stands available in the near future, and it may even be available now. I just haven't found it yet. So we're going to go ahead and start winding this down, guys. We are about to hit that 1 hour mark, so if you have hung out, I really appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed checking out this light. I haven't had the chance to really use it in the field, but you better believe that right after this show, it is going directly into my field lighting kit. And the next project I am out shooting, this guy is going to, he's going to be in play for sure, because I think I'm going to pull my Mini 20s out and I'm gonna throw this in. I'm even considering picking up 2 more of these to have a complete 3-light kit for those shoots where I don't want to bring something large with me. So I'm pretty impressed. If you're impressed and want to check them out, there are links to everything down below, including all the accessories that I've shown here today, and also that softbox that they make for it that I haven't picked up yet, but who knows? I may be very interested in fully outfitting this light to have the flexibility to do pretty much anything in a small kit. So I think that's about it. I'll go through these very last comments here, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap everything up, and I will let you guys get on with your Saturday. Hugh Tran is saying, how's the noise? So you'll have to rewatch the replay. Just a few minutes ago, we actually did test the fan noise, and I just put my microphone up to it. But I will tell you that even just standing next to it, I can hear it very faintly, but it's very quiet. And actually, my MacBook Pro running the stream is making more fan noise than this light was. So if you want to actually hear that, you'll have to go back and watch the replay. Let's see, considering how small these are, it would be easy to mount to mount these on a 3-way off a C-stand or boom and have a monster light. 3 times 500 watts, 3 times 300 watts. Not sure what you mean. So like mount something so that you could mount 3 lights on one stand. Okay, so it like put an arm or something, mount all 3 to it, and then shoot them into something like a silk or that, and you can make it basically, you'd be multiplying the power. So 60 times 3, you know, you have 180 watt or whatever. Yeah, you could totally do that because they're lightweight and easy. Trevor says, there's so much disruption going on in the industry right now, it's really crazy. Just about anything camera or light you want, you can have now, and a price that is affordable. Yeah, that is absolutely true, and that's one of the reasons that I want to make sure that I don't stay stagnant, and I'm always on the lookout for new products that might be helpful to me and might be helpful to you guys, actually especially might be helpful to you guys. You know, I talk about aperture stuff all the time because, I mean, they're fantastic, I love them, and they're what I use, but there is other stuff out there, and there is new stuff coming out, and I think this Forza series is definitely something to keep an eye on, and I think that if Nanlite continues to develop lights both in this Forza line and, you know, even in their other lines, I think Nanlite is a company to keep an eye on as well, just as an option to see what's out there and might work best for you. And let's see here, and it's happened in what, 5 years? Yeah, probably. Since I've been going to NAB, this stuff, I've seen the 120D introduced, and now we're up to looking at a 600D coming out, you know, from Aperture. So yeah, it's probably been about 5-6 years these COB lights have come so far. It's crazy. All right. And Benham is saying, thanks for this one. Looking forward to see about the Forza 500 and maybe bicolor soon. Well, I will certainly be talking to the guys over at LEDGO and Nanlite, and I'm going to see what I can do about making a getting a peek at that Forza 500, because that will complete the series right here. Or who knows, I may just go on out like I did with these lights, and I may just buy a 500 so we can take a peek at it, because that'll be a beast. And as for bicolor, I don't know. I'll make sure to forward this video along to them so that they know that that's something you guys are looking for down the line and in the future. Well, there you go, guys. I'm going to close this out and let us all get on with our Saturdays. I appreciate you hanging out. If you missed the show live, hopefully you enjoy the replay and the chat and all that. And hopefully you can join us next time we do a live show. Like I said, live Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I've been missing for a little bit over a month, but I'm trying to get back into it and get schedules all sorted out so that I can continue to hang out with you guys. But the best way to know if we're having a show or not is to subscribe and click that notification bell, because then you'll know as soon as I'm going live or as soon as I have any other content going up on the channel, because I'm telling you, I have a pile of really cool stuff sitting right over there that all needs my attention and all needs some videos made. So we're gonna have a lot of stuff coming. Stay tuned to the channel. All right, guys, thank you so much. It's been awesome seeing you guys again. Feels good to be back, and I will see you in the next one. Gotta remember how to end this.